not get the proper roll.
And in the fourth frame, Harahan gets his second strike. 60 through the third, a strike up. McCune will be shooting in the fourth. He has a spare working. We'll be back.
Hear the highways humming all across the land. It's the sound of America from the little cars to vans.
And on the city streets, for driving the country roads, for making the way smooth and easy, America rides Monroe.
Monroe, it's the #1 shock absorber in the world. You'll feel the difference.
First two shocks, the name you know, America rides Monroe.
In passing tests certified by the United States Auto Club at various road speeds, it was shown that Ford's Pinto Pony, even with its road-hugging weight, moved out and passed faster than Datsun V210, faster than Chevette, and faster than Toyota Corolla. Yet Pinto Pony still gets great mileage ratings. This kind of performance helps make Pinto the best-selling small car in America at your Ford dealer.
Tomorrow on ABC, the American sportsman travels to the Bahamas for reef fishing with Bing Crosby and Phil Harris, and to New England's Block Island and Martha's Vineyard for hunting and fishing with Kurt Gowdy and Boston Red Sox slugger Carl Yastrzemski. And from the La Costa Country Club in Carlsbad, California, all the final round excitement of the Tournament of Champions. Watch the elite of the golfing world battle for a $45,000 first prize. That's all tomorrow on ABC.
Smiling lady, this is Ed Freeman, the proprietor here, and her son Ken. They've been nice hosts. We've enjoyed it again. Now, Don McCune of Munster, Indiana, 39 years old, has a spare up shooting in the fourth frame. This is our second match. If you just joined us in the first, Tim Harahan defeated Tita Semez 225 to 216. For Don, his second strike in 4 frames, 60 through the third. Essentially, we are all even. Don with his second opportunity to double. Marshall Holman will meet the winner. An 8-pin. Now let's go to Nelson Burton.
With me is Marshall Holman, first time on national TV. Nobody's ever seen him before. And Marshall, what do you think your chances are today? And are you a little nervous?
Yeah, Bo, I am a little nervous, but I'm also very confident. I bowled well all week. I've got a good shot on the TV pair, and I think I can win.
Well, I think you can too, Marshall. Back to you, Chris.
One thing you'll always remember, his youthful style, firepower, as Don McCune now marks for this. Got a solid pocket hit and left the 8. Covers it. As now we have Tim Harahan back up. Strike up for Tim. Now shooting in the 5th. Looking on as he has for 15 consecutive years, tournament director Harry Golden. He is the last word in officiating. So it's a double and a 10-pin lead for Harahan.
What a bad break Don McCune got on the last shot, Chris. The solid 8. He made the adjustment on the pair. After practicing outside all morning before the show, he has decided to go inside. I think that's the best shot right now, and yet Harahan has the lead.
What a level. What a shot. A 4-pin on the left lane.
This year looks like Timmy Harahan's best year, and yet he's retiring. And I asked him why this is such a good year for him.
It's hard to say why your game just switches around from bad to good, but I guess the main thing is I bought a new bowling alley in California, and it's loosened up my swing right there. I don't have to worry about the money.
Comfortable. So, covering the 4-pin, spare in the 6th, 109 through the 5th.
You know, Chris, McCune may actually have the advantage because he has just moved inside. He has found the line, yet Harahan's already bowled 15 frames on the telecast, and he thinks he's found the line, yet his ball's breaking a little more than it was the first game.
So that gives him 100 through the 5th with a strike up in the 6th.
Don McCune, you'll notice his high backspin, but watch his right shoulder as he opens it up, turns it out of the shot. You cannot get your swing that high without turning out. Now he must close at the bottom of the swing. Close, shoulder in line with the target, right on the beam.
And it's a double for McCune, his first, in his first head-to-head match against the first match winner, Tim Harahan.
Ask a friend about Firestone.
I'm getting great mileage.
If you want a good tar, buy this tar.
Firestone.
Roundup. It's a nice word for long days sitting in a hard saddle and long nights sleeping on the hard ground. But now comes Miller time, and those are beautiful words for the time when you head for the best tasting beer you can find. America's quality beer, Miller High Life.
If you got the time, we got the beer, Miller Beer.
And now another look at the youngest man ever to make the 5-man finals of the Firestone, Marshall Holman, and Billy Hardwick, the first winner, the tournament leader. Marshall will meet the winner of this game. Then the winner of the semifinal will go into the final where they'll be bowling for $39,000. Billy Hardwick, the tournament leader, will be in that match. 7th frame. Spare working.
Okay, Timmy going with what works best for him. A little more loft to lay the hook. You have a choice whether to move in on the lane and try to play the oil or to go with a little more loft, Chris.
The overall total is 125, broken down to these 5 bowlers. Sizable sum. And I can remember when that didn't seem like a reality, Bo.
Well, Chris, when I first came on the tour, the biggest prize, except for this tournament, was $5,000 on national television. Today, they bowl for that in the small summer events, even more.
All right, Tim Harahan answering back with a double. Now, Don McCune, who led by 1, now trails by 9, but he can change that with a strike in the 8th.
The versatility of these players, Chris. Don McCune got to these top 5 by playing the outside line, threw 3 balls on TV, decided on the inside line. He's right in the match, can even it up.
Ten-pin. Footwork from a low angle.
Little shuffle by McCune to get started, and then a normal footwork. It's great lift on this ball. Again, watch how close that ball comes to the foot. Lifted out over the lane, not dumped at the foul line. He has some slide pads on the bottom of his foot, Chris. He adjusts those for each approach that he plays on.
All right, a spare for Don McCune, great competitor from Munster, Indiana, which is near Chicago. And to the west of Munster, Don has a great group of fans from Streator, Illinois. They are really McCune fans.
This man has bowled good this whole game, Chris. The solid 8, the solid 10, just the breaks of the game of bowling, but the match is not over. An absolute, almost must strike. McCune can set it up for the 10th.
Again a 10. Perspiring Tim Harahan, who won the first game 225 to 216 over Tita Samaz.
Timmy Harahan shaking his head, just glad it's not happening to him. But that is the one shot that has stopped most of the players here this week, the solid 10. The lanes are in such great shape, Chris. The ball rolls so smoothly that it drives too hard and drives the 6 over the 10.
Missing the 10 pin.
As we so often see, fellows do not practice many spares before they go on the show, and many matches have been decided by missed spares out here on the Pro Tour. Timmy Harahan with a chance to put the match out of the woods.
As you see, a 22-pin lead. He has a double-up foundation frame, number 9.
Almost every time a player misses, Chris, you can just bet the next fellow is going to come back with a strike.
All right. Another prediction by Bill Britton come true. Though now that this is our final stop, tour of 16 cities for this year, professional bowlers do what?
Chris, many of them are articulate speakers, and they'll go on an exhibition tour. A lot of them do a lot of exhibitions, and yet they go to the ABC American Bowling Congress tournament next week.
So Tim Harahan has won 2 head-to-head matches here in the Firestone Tournament of Champions. He'll be going against the youngster Marshall Holman. But first, let's hear from a sponsor.
Good morning, yesterday.
Paul Anka for Kodak.
You wake up and time has slipped away, and suddenly it's hard to find the memories you left behind. Remember, do you remember the times of your life?
Kodak film for the times of your life.
Simplicity's new 8-horsepower lawn tractors make picture book lawns easy as ABC. Free-floating mower action follows ground contours for anti-scalp mowing, regardless of dips or ridges. Now get Simplicity quality at a surprisingly low price. And remember, when it comes to lawn and garden care, Simplicity wrote the book. Look for your Simplicity dealer in the yellow pages or call toll-free.
This Monday on ABC, Major League Baseball. The Mets against the Cardinals for fans in the East, including New York and Houston, and the Dodgers against the Astros for fans in Los Angeles, St. Louis, and parts of the West. Check local listings for the game and time in your area.
Tim Harahan bowling a 237, his second victory to Don McCune's 186. Averaging 231, he now has to face that youngster practicing, Marshall Holman.
Chris, for the people at home, they're going to see quite a great young player. At 21 years old, he is confident, he has a great style, and just a tremendous bowling ball, but he keeps it in play. He can hold the line, and he here really has it all. All he needs is a little experience, and he doesn't need much confidence, but a win here would do great wonders for this young man.
Because he finished second in a field of 52.
Look at that confident look.
Yeah. From Medford, Oregon.
Chris, to show his confidence, in the final game, he had to bowl the great Dick Weber to see who was going to make the TV show. Not only did he defeat Weber, but he threw key strikes in the 9th, 10th, and 11th frame to go from 5th up to 2nd, and you should have seen those balls just blistered the pins.
5 feet 9, 140 pounds. Harahan, 5'9", 135. So in a game where size really doesn't make a difference, that's why so many people bowl.
Well,
we can watch 2 shorter ones.
The smooth style of Harahan and the powerful style of this young man. Quite a contrast in this match. Still throwing shadow balls or practice balls.
Coming up next on ABC's Wide World of Sports, get this rundown. The Wood Memorial Horse Race, live from Aqueduct in New York, except on the West Coast. International Gymnastics Championships in the Soviet Union, and an interview with Muhammad Ali and Jimmy Young on their upcoming heavyweight bout. 5 Eastern, 4 Central, 5:30 Pacific. The Wood Memorial, stepping stone toward the Kentucky Derby, is seen live and in color here on ABC, May 1st, from Churchill Downs.
First shot.
Blowing him out of there.
Chris, he's bowled for the title, not on national television twice, and the last time he bowled for the title was in Fresno. He bowled the great Carmen Salvino, immediately started with 8 strikes in a row, solid 10, struck out 279. He fears nothing.
Now Tim Harahan, who's had a great afternoon defeating Semez 225 to 216, then a victory over Don McCune 237 to 186. And the match is all even after 1 frame. Perfect.
This is going to be a tough match. Timmy Harahan, experience, has now got the feel of the lanes. He got 2 practice balls after the McCune match, has made the move inside to play a little less hook and a little deeper angle, and he should be zeroed in.
Oh, on that left lane, an 8-pin for Harahan.
The left lane finishing very hard. Another solid 8. The demise of Don McCune when the match was very close against Timmy Harahan once again pops up against Harahan this time.
Previous scores for Tim, 225 and 237. Victories over Semez and McCune. Strike and a spare for Harahan of Woodland Hills, California. So in this all-West Coast semifinal match, the winner to meet Billy Hardwick. It's now Marshall Holman. Watch where Marshall places himself in the approach. Does he use it all? I guess.
17-foot approach. He makes it 17.5 feet.
And man with a great reaction following a good stroke has doubled.
Chris, that's a great ball we were talking about. Marshall Holman hit light. That's only a 15.5-pound ball, similar to what George Pappas was using when he won the King Louis Open this year. But Marshall Holman makes those pins talk. Dynamite.
Drying his right hand, and he'll step up again and use more than really there is on the approach.
Oh. Tit for tat, a solid 8. The same thing that happened to Harahan. What happens, Chris? The balls, these players are lifting so hard, the ball is driving through the pins and actually chopping the 5 off the 8.
Watch this reaction.
Well, look at that form, though. Did he cut that loose?
Smoothly covering the 8-pin. Now let's look at positions 6 through 11 in the Tournament of Champions. There in 6th, our alternate Gary Dickinson.
In 7th, Roy Buckley, Dick Weber just missing, Larry Lobb, and Allie Clark. Tommy Hudson made a charge, but was a little short. Champions all.
Spare up. Big one. Tim Harahan with a strike in the 3rd frame, 40 through the 2nd.
No one has thrown a bad ball in this match. 2 spares, one by Holman in the 3rd, one by Harahan in the 2nd, both solid 8s. They've settled down to some tough match play as we get close to that semifinal match with the Bluegrass Kid coming up next, Billy Hardwick.
Wobbly 7. Still standing for Tim Harahan.
Those are all bad breaks. When a pro bowler with that much power on the ball hits light and drives the pins to the sideboard, it's just a bad break when the pins do not carry. Actually, the 4 and the 5 hit each other and took each other out instead of driving into the 7.
With good accuracy to Harahan, marking with a spare in the 4th frame. We'll return with more of this semifinal match after this.
The 19
1976 EPA ratings are in, and Ford has the best gas mileage of any V8 pickup. Ford F-100 with optional V8 and manual transmission was rated at 24 miles per gallon highway, 16 city. Your actual mileage may vary. That's a 33% better highway gas mileage rating than Ford's nearest competitor. This means, based on EPA Mileage Guide highway estimates, Ford can go as far on $3 as its competitor can go on $4. Think what that could mean every month, every year you drive your Ford V8 pickup.
Hi, I'm Dick Weber, to tell you that now is the time to get a set of heavy-duty Monroe-matic shock absorbers. They adjust automatically to any road to give you a smoother, more stable ride. And now, for 1976, the manufacturer's suggested retail price is lowered 20%. That's right, 20% off of the price of the world's best-selling shock. Monroe, first in shocks. You'll feel the difference.
We're at the Firestone Tournament of Champions at the Riviera Lanes in the suburb of Fairlawn, Ohio, Akron, Ohio. Professional Bowlers Tour last stop. 16th and the 15th year that ABC Sports has had exclusive coverage. These great bowlers from all parts of the United States. Holman, spare up shooting in the 4th. Oh, what action on that ball as we go to two great champions.
With me is Billy Hardwick, waiting to bowl that final match for $25,000. And Billy, you're bowling so well, and I always said you were the most feared bowler in the game of bowling when you're bowling well. Do you really think that anyone can beat you today?
Well, I'm so confident bowl right now. If I lose, it won't be because of my mind. I might bowl a bad game or catch a couple of bad breaks, but I'm so positive in my attitude that I'm not going to play any defense. It'll be all offense.
As it was last week, Hardwick was the winner. One more game to go after this one, and we'll have a new champion. Now back to you, Chris.
All right. 21 years old, young champion. Another solid 10. This one for Holman. Coming the 5th frame. Marshall with a 216 plus average for the week.
As you can see on that spare shot, that's why they call Marshall Holman the Medford Meteor. He throws that ball like a bullet down there when he shoots a spare, and he doesn't cut back ever in this game.
Tim Harahan, a bowling proprietor.
The first real break of the match, somebody tripped something. The trip 4 is not an uncommon strike, but the way these fellows are grinding that ball and cranking it up, you normally don't trip the 4. The next man coming on, Billy Hardwick, that's his great forte. Hitting high, tripping the 4. Tim Harahan got a good break, can even the match up with a double.
You get an idea of the size of the house in this side shot. Tim Harahan. Another 8, though.
Unbelievably, Chris, another solid 8. And you could see the sharp break of the ball from our handheld camera. The ball goes down the lane, skids, and then takes the real sharp break and just chops the 5 straight off. Many people think the 5-pin goes over the top of the 8 on what is really, truly the worst break in the game of bowling. Now, if we can see it, we'll see the 5-pin being hit by the ball, go straight back. See the ball carries straight back off the 8. It's almost like chopping the 4 off the 7, a very unusual hit.
All right. Tim Harahan, 100 through the 5th. Spare up. 10-year member of the Professional Bowlers Association, founded right here in Akron, Ohio. And now Marshall Holman, who's been a member for 2 years. 2 PBA titles, Fresno and Hawaii.
Has bowled good so far in this game. Tim Harahan, 2 bad breaks. Marshall Holman, 1 bad break. Marshall leading by 9. Love to start extending it, stretching it out. The same hit that Timmy Harahan left the 7th hit on, but the little meteor from Medford just drove it out with a tremendous wrist action. Many people ask, where do they get it? Mark Roth, a short, not short, but a slender fellow, Chris, does it with lift, wrist, and spin. Marshall Holman does it with complete wrist lift. Body in great position and just uncorks, just like hitting a home run in baseball. He just hits it as hard as he can.
Or a Jack Nicklaus drive.
Well, watch these pins drive out right here. Goodbye, 4-5-7.
Golf tournament champions later today and tomorrow on ABC. Oh, a thing of beauty. 21-year-old Marshall Holman, who has a 19-pin lead, and you'll see more of him after this.
How do you spell relief?
When I get acid indigestion, I spell relief, R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
For heartburn, R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
Rolaids spells relief. In this test with Rolaids active ingredient, laboratory acid changes color to prove Rolaids consumes 47 times its weight in excess stomach acid. How do you spell relief?
For gas, I spell it R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
Rolaids spells relief, fast relief.
Ask a friend about Firestone, Firestone, Firestone.
Well, I think the Firestone radio tires are the best tires ever made.
A friend might not know that Firestone's long-mileage steel-belted Radio 500 is built by craftsmen, piece by piece, one at a time. But when it comes to how Firestone tires work, just ask a friend.
And if I can't get a Firestone, I'll park it.
Firestone.
Today on ABC from the La Costa Country Club in Carlsbad, California, all the third-round excitement of the Tournament of Champions. Watch the elite of the golfing world battle for a $45,000 first prize. Today on ABC.
Helen and Richard Riley on the right. Dick being the president of the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company and the founder of the PBA.
The Big E, who was inducted in the Hall of Fame, PBA Hall of Fame, with my good colleague Chris Schenkel and Buzz Fazio. Congratulations, Christopher.
Thank you. Some trio.
Yes,
Great
it
honor.
is.
Great honor, I'll tell you that. Now Tim Harahan, shooting in the 7th frame, a spare up, trailing at 19.
Sending Marshall Holman some of his own medicine. He just drove that 5 into the 7. Back in the match, almost a must strike the way Holman's bowling. Timmy Harahan can cut Holman's lead to 9 pins here in the 8th frame. Timmy has nothing but bad breaks so far in this left-hand lane. Solid 8, solid 8.
Winner of 2 matches already this afternoon. A double for Harahan. And that makes the match closer. 9 pins. The leader, you're looking at him right now, getting up ready to bowl.
Let's see how he reacts, Chris. First time on national television, experienced Tim Harahan has started to put a little pressure on him, and it's getting late in the match. A lot of players bowl great for 6 or 7 frames, but the 8th, 9th, and 10th is what pro bowling's all about.
Another 10.
The weak 10 just did not quite drive through. He's caught in between the swish spot and solid in the pocket. That is a hit that hardly no one carries. That has to be a great break to trip the weak 10 out. The match now becomes very close.
All right. This is the semifinal match with 1 to go. The winner to meet Billy Hardwick. Close. 158 through the 7th. Spare in the 8th frame.
Chris, on that last hit, what we mean by the weak 10 is the ball is not quite solid, and the 6 pin does not drive into the 10 pin. A little higher in the pocket would be what we call a solid 10. That is a weak 10, not quite solid enough. But now comes the important 9th frame. This match is going all the way to the 10th frame. Holman leading by 8.
Look at those heels.
Using all 17 feet of the approach.
Marshall Holman 5'9", but large forearms. Really gets that ball rolling.
Ninth frame, Timmy coming up on the right-hand lane. His good lane can take the lead for the first time in the match.
Let me tell you, there's a lot of difference in this game being the semifinal. If you lose, $8,000. But if you win this game, you have a chance to earn $25,000. The least you can earn going into the final game is $14,000.
Not a bad paycheck.
All but the 10 on the right lane for Harahan.
Everybody at home knows what that is, Chris. That is the weak 10. The ball just not quite high enough in the pocket. It's going to come down to the 10th frame. Timmy with a spare here and 3 in the 10th, 219, would force Holman to double.
Spare, 9th frame. Harahan, who won the first game over Semez, 225 to 216, then came back to meet Don McCune, winning 237 to 186. Picture of concentration. Well, he just stares at that spot, Bo.
Must situation. The solid 10, and of all places to get it, right now, Timmy Harahan, if he marks, will just force Marshall Holman to mark. Here we go. Now watch the 6-pin on the right edge of your screen. Bingo, right around the 10, and that is low, Chris. That is really a wrap. That lane has been very tough on Harahan. 5 great shots, and he has only got 1 strike out of it.
Spare for Harahan. This is Marshall Holman.
With an 8 counter better on this ball, he will force Marshall Holman just to mark. All that Holman will need is a mark.
Holman will be shooting in the 10th frame. And a strike in the 9th. For Tim Harahan, a 208, his lowest of 3 games.
Chris, the best game he bowled, 208. He put every ball in the pocket, and just destiny was not on his side yet. He hasn't lost yet. Marshall Holman must mark to go in the final match against the man of the hour, Billy Hardwick.
Who earlier, as you interviewed him, indicated breaks in the game of bowling, how important they are. Mentally fit, but what a form of individual competition.
Bowling on TV is definitely one of the toughest, Chris.
10th frame. Reaching to the ceiling, Marshall Holman.
Is he into his bowling? Does he want to win?
There is Billy Hardwick, seated right behind him.
He looks tough. Kids don't bother him.
We have a winner, and for the first time on the Firestone, he goes into the finals, a chance to win a lot of money.
I started drinking light beer from Miller a couple of years ago. I started drinking it because I heard it was less filling. But you know something? I kept on drinking because it tastes so great. Now, I don't care what you guys like about it, as long as you like it.
Hello, Mickey. Got a light?
Sure, doll. What's a nice girl like you doing in a commercial like this?
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Fixing your house is work, but you're a hero in your own home when it's done.
Use DAP, the big name in home fix-up.
DAP latex caulk seals around windows and doors, keeps your home cooler in summer, warmer in winter. DAP spackling patches holes and cracks in walls, sands smooth for invisible repairs. Just 2 of more than 100 products from DAP.
Be a hero in your own home.
With DAP, the big name in home fix-up.
Watch Medicine and Money in ABC News Close-Up tonight on ABC.
On Monday night before the Firestone Tournament of Champions began, all the players got to the Firestone Country Club and we had our annual Champions Dinner. In attendance was Dick Weber, Johnny Petraglia, Dave Davis, some of all the great ones, Larry Lobb, and Mr. Riley, who was so nice to put on this tournament every year. And the first man to be inducted in the Hall of Fame was the great Buzz Fazio. Many people remember him from the 50s. It was a very touching moment for the Buzzer, and what a speech he made. Former president of the PBA, and the founder of the PBA was the next man to go in the Hall of Fame, the Big E himself, Eddie Elias. There to make the presentation, a fellow you see every week. Oh, I love it, Eddie. $125,000, and his beautiful wife, Peggy, just smiling and beaming over her husband's great triumph. And here's the man of the hour, Chris Schenkel, my buddy. Chris, after 15 years, a standing ovation for you, pal. Number one in the announcing game. We have all the number one bowlers out here on the tour, and yet here's our man, the king, Chris Schenkel. Great moment, Chris. Congratulations.
Thank you, Bo. You were a great presenter. It's a once-in-a-lifetime week. What a week. And now we go to what I call, what a head-to-head match. This is the final. The winner, $25,000. The loser, $14,000. 21-year-old Marshall Holman, first time in the Firestone, going against the man that won the very first Firestone Tournament of Champions in 1965. Holman shooting first. .47 on the left lane.
Looking at his thumb, Chris, I looked at his hand. It is bleeding. His thumb is now bleeding. This tournament is 48 games long. The other tournaments are 42. We bowl 16 games a day for 3 straight days. Marshall, with all that power he puts on his ball, tears up his hand. It is bleeding right now.
And watching Billy Hardwick last night, his was a mess, blowing on it right now, waiting to stroke. Going for the 4-7. It's a spare for 21-year-old Marshall Holman of Medford, Oregon.
A contrast in styles, the power of Marshall Holman against what the players call the fudger of Billy Hardwick. But how he gets his job done. The straight trajectory, nice, smooth, and slow. And tough as they come.
So, 34-year-old Billy Hardwick, in his younger days, winning here in 1965. And here he is again.
You talk about a man who fears no one. Marshall Holman fears no one. Billy Hardwick beat the great Dick Weber. He has no fear also. Leaving off last week with a great victory, and he started right back with a strike, taking a little extra time. This is the big one.
17 PBA titles plus a Bowling Proprietors Association of America All-Star Championship. He stuck at the line, but nevertheless in the pocket for a double.
How does he do it, Chris? Everybody wonders how Hardwick does it. Sticks at the foul line, but notice the ball is free and clear already. He has already made his shot. What we say, you must release the ball in your slide. Notice he was still sliding when the ball was released, and yet the stick came after the release, had no effect on it at all.
The thumb.
His hand is as sore as anyone's, Chris. He has a big blister on his right side that he said he's just almost ready to pop at any time.
Now, with a spare up, Marshall Holman shooting in the second. Gets the strike in this match. Live coverage by ABC Sports. They are bowling for $39,000. Let's look at positions 12 through 17.
The great Carmen Salvino close to the lead at one time. Mark Roth and Jim Godman, a 2-time champion, doing well. George Pappas, who's got through. Nelson Burton sneaks up there. And Mike Lemon Joe, who really made a charge but fell back the last 8 games.
And Bo, $1,900. Pretty neat.
Not bad for a week's work, Chris. Marshall Holman with a chance to even the match. The sore thumb Hardwick.
Oh, 360 pirouette.
The antics of Marshall Holman, Chris, may affect some players, but not the man stepping up on the right-hand lane now. He knows that he is a control player, and he can put all the balls in the pocket.
Billy very carefully drying those hands, especially the right thumb.
has a chance to be the third two-time winner of the Firestone. The defending champion Dave Davis and Jim Godman, the only two players ever to win the Firestone twice.
On the right lane, double up. 3 in a row for Billy Hardwick in this final match.
It's almost unbelievable the control and accuracy of Hardwick. He does not depend on the power strikes like Marshall Holman. He depends on splicing a small target out there at the arrows. When Hardwick's right, he can hit a half a board consistently 20 foot down the lane, Chris. Put it right in the pocket. All 3 strikes he's got so far are perfect packed strikes.
Sharon and Christopher Hardwick.
Billy's greatest rooters. Much pressure on the wives almost as the husbands. Okay, Chris, we explained the power game and the accuracy game. The 4-5-7, a dead ball rolled by Hardwick. He releases it a little early, does not quite get the lift, and maybe that thumb that is sore actually had an effect on it, but head pin goes to sideboard. Normally would come back over and kick that out for a wall shot.
Now, the 4-5-7. So there's an open frame in the 4th for Billy Hardwick, the tournament leader, going against Marshall Holman, who will now be shooting in the 4th frame. First, though, let's take a break here at Riviera Lanes in Fairlawn, Ohio.
Oh, are you sure these are the right shock absorbers, Eugene?
Hey, Mrs. Austin, you got the shocks that conquered Mount Kilimanjaro. Only shocks we carry. Hey, I use them on my own car.
If you say so, Eugene. It's like going downhill.
You can get shocks anywhere. But at Midas, you get a shock specialist. So you get the right shock for your car and the way you drive. Come to Midas. We're shock specialists. We have to do a better job.
This Ford pickup is taking one tough pounding in these scenes from the movie Mr. Majestic. This Ford is a used 68 pickup, and it wasn't modified to take this terrific beating. Now, these exciting movie stunts have no bearing on normal usage, and this doesn't prove how long our 76 will last. But if you want a tough-built pickup, that's Ford. 93 out of 100 of all Ford trucks registered since '64 are still on the job. So get the one that's built Ford tough.
This Monday on ABC, Major League Baseball. The Mets against the Cardinals for fans in the East, including New York and Houston, and the Dodgers against the Astros for fans in Los Angeles, St. Louis, and parts of the West. Check local listings for the game and time in your area.
Marshall Holman shooting in the 5th frame, leaving the 4 pin. We bowled through, and in the 4th frame he left a 10, but marked with a spare. Close match going against sore-thumbed Billy Hardwick. Look at that.
That's coating and cotton, Chris. It's all patched up. His fingers are too. With a long week and this much pressure on every shot, hands rip up very easily. Trying to keep it cool.
For Holman of Medford, Oregon, a spare in the 5th and missed the final game in the Firestone Tournament of Champions. The winner 25, the loser 14.
A reprieve for Hardwick. He opened in the 4th frame to go 9 pins down. Holman had a chance to really put him on the ropes, left a solid 10 and then a solid 4, so the match is still less than a double apart.
Coming up high. Oh, the 7 went out at the last moment, leaving only the 6-10.
The natural tendency, Hardwick leaving the 4-5-7 in the 4th frame, did not get enough lift on the ball. Comes up in the 5th frame, hit it too hard. When I mean hit it too hard, the fingers coming through and the wrist coming through the ball too hard. Not Hardwick's style. He must keep the ball straight, solid, and in play.
Okay. Now cross lane. Okay.
Before we went on the air today, I asked Hardwick why he is bowling as good as ever after 7 years drought.
The main reason I've been bowling better is the power of positive thinking. I've just made up my mind that I was tired of looking bad and bowling bad and having guys beat me when I thought I had talent. So I put my mind into something that I was had something to prove to a lot of people. Made my mind I was going to do it, and when I won in Toledo, that was my greatest victory. Whatever happens here, I won't be concerned one way or the other. My concentration will be good. If I bowl well, fine. If I don't, I still got $14,000 in my pocket.
Coming up high on the left lane, leaving the 610, Billy Hardwick, whom you just heard with his philosophy on this final game as the tournament leader.
And right now, Chris, he is not bowling well. He's pulling the ball, he's losing it, doing a lot of things that Hardwick does not do. When he bowls well, he does not make mistakes. But the match is still close. 7-pin difference between Holman and Hardwick, the two H's.
All right, a spare for Billy Hardwick. Watching the standing room only crowd of the 6 grand prize winners and their VIP guests of the Firestone BPAA Bowl with the Pros contest, recently conducted by Firestone and the Bowling Proprietors Association of America. We congratulate them and hope they're enjoying it along with you at home. First game, Tim Harahan defeated Tita Semez 225 to 216. Harahan over McCune 237 to 186. And then this young man bowled a 238 to eliminate Harahan's 208. A 10 on the right lane.
As the pressure gets deeper and deeper, Chris, Holman gets faster and faster. That time, he just ran to the line, but his great swing, he kept it under control, but he does not quite get the drive on the ball when he goes with that much speed. The last 4 frames here will determine the champion.
6 pins separating these two professionals. And it's a spare for Marshall Holman of Medford, Oregon, marking in the 6th frame.
As a credit to Holman, he's leading this match, bowling the great Hardwick, has not missed the pocket yet. His first game against Harahan, every ball in the pocket. His second game against Hardwick has 107 in the 5th, working on a 200 game, has still not missed the pocket. Leading by 6 pins. Both players have completed 6 frames. A pin a frame.
Strike in the 7th. Gresham. Marshall Holman giving it all, his all at those 10 pins.
Youngest player to ever make the top 5 in the Firestone, Chris, and he's performing well.
18 through 20, Bo.
18 through 20, Barry Asher, who finished 2nd last year, Durbin, a former champion, and John Wilcox, the lefty in the finals. Dave Davis, defending champion. Paul Caldwell right up there again this week. Wayne Zahn, who won this tournament in 1966, and Jay Robinson rounding out the top 24 field.
Now Billy Hardwick shooting in the 7th, the spare up. A 4.
Billy does not have his tempo. You can see the difference if you watched the show last week. Billy was a little faster on the approach, a little more speed on the backswing. The two fellows, one of them, Hardwick, when he wants to strike, will shorten his backswing and start to aim it. That's good for his style. Marshall Holman, when he needs them, will speed everything up and go with the power. Both players doing their best that their game calls for. More than one way to skin a cat, and they're trying to skin it for $25,000.
Hardwick marks with a spare in the 7th frame of this final game in the Tournament of Champions. Winner 25, the loser 14,000. Later today, ABC's Wide World of Sports, Wood Memorial Live from Aqueduct. Soviet Union Gymnastics, an interview with Muhammad Ali. Then 3rd round coverage of the Tournament of Champions, great PGA Tour event.
Players taking extra time, Chris, to make sure that hand is dry. That's what Hardwick's doing right now. It's very warm in here. It's 80 degrees outside. It must be 90 degrees in there on the lanes. Making sure that that ball does not slip.
Hardwick strike in the 8th frame, giving him 140 through the 7th. 7 pins separating these two in this final game.
Important shot for young Marshall Holman. He has the lead, and he has the advantage with a strike up. He has a 7-pin lead. He can extend it to 17. If he does not strike here, he'll have given a reprieve to one of the great players of the bowling game sitting there on the bench, and you just cannot give Hardwick much room.
Leaving the bucket on the right lane, 2, 4, 5, 8.
Marshall shaking his thumb, but the shot was bad in his swing. Very seldom do you ever see this player cut one short or try to aim one. That time he tried to aim, and he was trying to play Hardwick's game. He must cut it loose. Needs a spare to stay ahead.
Oh, gets it.
His power saved him there, Chris. With a not quite as strong a ball, he would never driven that 8-pin out. The ball just got a piece of it. Still has a 7-pin lead coming up in the key 9th frame. This match, as the Firestone did last year, is going right to the 10th frame when Dave Davis threw that memorial double, memorable double, to defeat Barry Asher. Perspiration coming down, trying to keep the thumb cool.
A 10-pin on the left lane.
Marshall kind of getting a little anxious, showing inexperience right now, Chris, is he shouldn't be bashful to do that, but the ball, he's actually double dribbled that ball. The ball hit on the approach before it released from his hand, the reason he left the 10-pin.
The end of our 15th year of Professional Bowlers Association competition here on the ABC as Marshall Holman marks the despair. And having been the host of that length of time, I'm really proud to give credit to men behind the scenes that really do it all. Like our executive producer, Rune Arledge, our producer, Bob Goodrich, our directors, Roger Goodman, who's directing today, and also pat on the back to Jim Jeanette. Technical director Bob Bernthal, our associate director, who helps us so much up here, Jeff Cohan, engineering supervisor Bob Armbruster, unit managers Gene Rinklin and Murray Schwartz, assistant to the producer William Wallace, and our lighting director, who was given an honor today, a lifetime honorary member of the PBA, Tony Azzolino.
For the first time in the match, near the end, Hardwick can take a lead with a strike. He's going to give it his best shot.
Almost crossing over, leaving the 3 on the right lane.
Chris, if Hardwick makes this spare, he needs a double in the 10th to make Holman mark. This is not a classic match by any means, but the pressure, $25,000. It is there. Hardwick just aiming a little bit. You can kind of see him directing it with his hand. A bowler cannot aim a ball. You must free swing it.
Billy Hardwick covers that 3-pin, and in the coverage of our Professional Bowlers Tour telecasts, our lighting assistants, John Weiss and Max Crouch, and audio, so important, Jack Brandis, audio assistant Sonny DeRico, the cameraman, what a job they do, Jack Cronin, Roy Hutchings, Bob Lopes, and Frank Melchiori, the slow-mo expert, George Botcher Jr., video, Martin Sandberg, electronic graphics, Steve Shine and Dave White, maintenance, Jack Holt. We salute them. Billy Hardwick leaving the 4-7 on the left lane, shooting in the 10th frame, giving him 178 through the 9th.
Hardwick needs a spare to make Marshall Holman mark to be the new Firestone Tournament of Champions champion, the youngest ever, 21 years old. If Hardwick opens, Holman wins sitting down. Billy with the spare and a strike will shoot 198, will force Marshall Holman to mark. Count is immaterial at this point. Last week, Hardwick in the clutch at the Monroe-Matic in Toledo threw a double in the 10th. He won the tournament this week. He was a little high, but it's not over yet.
So it's a 198 for the first Tournament of Champion winner, Billy Hardwick. And first time in this, the most prestigious of bowling events, Marshall Holman, a chance to win $25,000.
All he needs, Chris, is one mark. The biggest ball of his young life. Can be the youngest ever to win the Firestone Tournament of Champions.
Leaving the 4-7.
He almost threw it away, Chris. He just cranked it too much, cut it short, and almost left the 4-7-10. He still needs this spare. Needs this spare and a 5-pin count. The 5-pin count is almost automatic, and you would think the 4-7 is almost automatic. But here at Firestone, many strange things have happened.
Gets the spare. Marshall Holman, first time ever in this great championship. At this point now, in a field that started with 52 winners, he needs 5 pins.
A dejected Billy Hardwick, he knows that Holman will get 5 pins.
Crossing over and getting 9. And there is a winner of $25,000 with a 203 to 198.
Then Firestone's got double-belted deluxe champion tires from $10 to $16 less than February prices.
A penny saved gathers no moss.
Ben, did you read that Firestone double-belted black wall tires are as low as $25 now?
Thrift is the mother of invention.
Ben, if we go to Firestone now, we can get up to $16 off on deluxe champion belted tires.
Lost time is the devil's workshop.
Ben, I'm going to Firestone now.
For a healthy family, we get our share of life's little aches. Sometimes Gracie gets a touch of arthritis pain. The boy's arm muscles get sore.
So we use Absorbine Junior. Absorbine Junior brings more blood where it's applied, relaxes sore muscles, brings natural warmth.
Better?
Good for 20 points, Dad.
Uh-huh. Practice.
For sore muscles, muscle aches from the flu, temporary relief from minor arthritis pain, get Absorbine Junior.
The family sore muscle medicine.
Imagine that, the first-time starter at 203 to the great champion Billy Hardwick's 198. Marshall Holman, congratulations.
Oh, thank you, Chris. I am just completely, well, I don't even know what to say. I'm just so happy and scared and glad it's over. I'd just like to thank everybody. I'd like to thank Firestone for putting on such a fantastic tournament. It's my first time at Firestone. It was just fabulous. It was great all week, and the reporters were great. Everything was great.
We're not going to ask you what you'll do for an encore, but here's the president of the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company, Dick Riley, with a couple of spoils of victory.
And for a scared man, you sure react nicely. Congratulations. Come back again.
Dick Riley now handing this young man, 21 years old, $25,000 and this beautiful trophy. Happy holidays, young man.
Oh, thank you.
I know you go back to Medford, a very happy 21-year-old.
Oh, I certainly will. I'm really looking forward to going home.
Dick, thanks to you and your great company for again winding up this tour. You're the finest. Dick Riley, Firestone. Once again, the final score, the final match, Marshall Holman 203, Billy Hardwick 198. Travel arrangements made through a promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United featuring Royal Hawaiian service on more wide-body 747s to Hawaii than any other airline. This has been an ABC Sports presentation.
Watch as Broadway honors its own on the Tony Awards. Richard Burton, Jane Fonda, George C. Scott, Diana Rigg, Eddie Albert, and Trish Vanderveer host this gala event tomorrow at 9, 8 Central here on ABC.